If you've ever put 50, 100, maybe even 200 hours in a game and still said something like, this game isn't even that good, you're not crazy. But there is a reason for it, and it's probably not what you think. So, have you ever noticed some of the best games ever made get the most hate? Not bad games, not broken games. I'm talking about games that are literally objectively good, sometimes even masterpieces, and people will still complain about them. But not even just complain, they actually will despise them or start to hate them. And I think the weirdest part is that a lot of the same people have like 100 hours in the game. So so what's actually going on here? Why do gamers seem to reject the very games they say that they want? I think the biggest reason is something I'd like to call the expectation trap. And it's like the longer we wait for a game, the more we build it up in our heads. We don't just want a good game anymore. We want our version of that game. And so we imagine how the combat should feel, how the story should go, what features have to be there. And then when the game finally drops, we're not even comparing it to reality anymore. We're comparing it to a version in our head that never actually existed. And so even if the game is great, it feels disappointing to us. And I don't think it's because it failed. It's because it didn't match this fantasy that we created in our head about the game. And so here's where it gets a little uncomfortable. So, gamers, and myself included, I am certainly guilty of this. Gamers want innovation, originality, and something new. But then when we actually get it, it's like we seem to resist it. Why is that? I think it's because new systems require a lot of effort, and learning something unfamiliar feels like friction. It feels like tension. And tension or friction in a game feels like bad design. So then what do? We say things like, this game is clunky, this game doesn't feel right, this isn't as good as Skyrim or Grand Theft Auto. But I think what we really mean is this isn't what I'm used to. This isn't what I'm familiar with. And comfort almost always wins over innovation. We love playing or doing things that we're used to. We like the comfortability. That goes for anything in life. We tend to fall in these patterns of repeated behaviors and we get used to it. Even if it's something that's, amazing, we just kind of fall into that same rhythm. And so this is my favorite part. Have you ever seen or heard someone say, yeah, this game sucks, but then you ask them like how many hours they've played or you check their playtime and it's like 120 hours? That's really not that rare. It's actually pretty normal. And I think it's because the truth is we don't measure games just by enjoyment anymore. It's like we measure them by efficiency, progression, optimization, checking a box. So even if we're engaged, we don't always feel satisfied. And it becomes less about experiencing the game for what it is and more about beating it, more about completing it, more about accomplishment, maxing it out, finishing it. And when that becomes the goal, the magic of gaming disappears. Another huge factor: social media, other people, external influences. You can be enjoying a game, having a great time, and then you go online. And what do? We look at the Metacritic scores. We look at all the different websites that list their scores and their ratings. You see the YouTube critiques in the comments, the Reddit threads, the TikTok hot takes, all those things. And then suddenly you start to notice flaws in the game that you didn't even care about before. And now you're just playing the game. You're analyzing it. You're judging it. You're comparing it. And then slowly your own opinion starts to shift about the game. And it's not because the game changed. It's because the conversation in your head about the game changed. You shifted your perspective to that. And so I think deep down, a lot of us, of course we get nostalgic about games, but I don't know if it's necessarily that we miss old games. It's that we miss how we used to feel playing those games. We used to play games with no expectations, no comparison videos on YouTube or news outlets that are reporting too much about these games and all the diverse scores. There weren't constant updates. It was simply just playing and getting lost in it. And now we're always thinking, is this worth my time? Is this the best build for my character? Am I playing this the quote unquote right way? And that mindset, it makes it really, really hard to enjoy something. So maybe the problem isn't that games are getting worse. Maybe it's that we've changed how we experience them. We expect more, we compare more, we analyze more, we judge more. And somewhere along the way, we stopped just playing. And so the next time you find yourself saying, well, this game isn't that good, it might be worth asking yourself, is it the game that's the problem, or is it the way I'm playing it? Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.